Fear not, for you are found. You are home, and there is no going back. No one leaves this place. But what is this place? The answer is Tux Nation. Surrounded by a strong, positive community, Tux Nation lives on the edge of the known and unknown. It is the collection point for all gamers searching to be part of something greater, like you. And here you are significant. You are valuable. Here you are loved. And no one loves you more than the TuxedoBandido. He is the original, the first player one, the creator of the Players Club and the father of the Bandidos. Where once you were Han Solo, now you are part of something. You are part of the Bandidos. Congratulations. You will meet the TuxedoBandido in 5 seconds. Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself. You are now meeting the TuxedoBandido.
Bandidos, we are live. What is happening? Here we go. Down the rabbit hole. You ready for this? Are you caught up on what's going on? You guys know what's going on? So here we are. The really central point of today's live stream are to connect with the devs about part 2 of the PTS. So they released some patch notes the other day. And many of those patch notes, well, they really wrapped it up to a few key points that came from the community. And so they reverted or they compromised on some of those nerfs, like to Striker, compromised a little bit there. They gave us back our ammo on St. Elmo's and the Ouroboros, took off a little RPM. So a little give, a little take. And then they're setting up, so today will be early access for PTS, so you can load in. And then tomorrow the PTS starts, and then again it'll be another 3-day test. So then there's the modifiers. There's one in particular, forget what it's called now, but it's basically a shield. It's kind of like the Guardian's shield, except it's worse. So, because there's no Guardian to eliminate. So these dudes are just like extremely tanky, and they're basically bulletproof. They're absolutely bulletproof. It's worse even than if they had the Guardians buff. It's crazy looking if you've seen that. Sterilite or something like that. They'll talk about it, but it ends up coming up a lot. It's the most common modifier, and it's the worst one you could encounter, in my opinion, or one of the two worst ones. The other really bad one is one that deflects your damage back at you. So you hit the enemy really hard, and that same damage hits you. It's like, why would they do that? I think negative, I'm going to say it early. I'm calling it for season 2. I think negative modifiers, I call them negs, is a really bad idea. It's a bad idea. It's going to cause a lot of people to just not run modifiers altogether. And if you don't run modifiers, you're basically skipping seasons. So, because you can deactivate it. But if you deactivate direct modifiers, you deactivating all modifiers. And the content is built around the modifiers. So, you're not going to be able to engage with some of this new content. I don't think. But there's something called like special objectives or something like that. They're basically new projects. But those projects, when you engage with those, there's like a mysterious modifier that you're going to encounter. It's like random rolled. So if you haven't modifiers turned off, what's the point of that content? There isn't a point. It won't exist. So yeah, and so with the negative, I mean, it's like running with directives that are worse than our directives, and that's the only way you can get the positive modifiers. I mean, it's okay for a challenge from time to time. Why not, right? Take the challenge. But all the time, all season, and it's the part that the reason why I don't like it is because of the logic behind it. So you have to grind to unlock modifiers, but you're grinding to unlock things that hurt you too as part of that. So you get the buffs, you get the damage buffs, great, but you're also grinding for NPC power. This is just, why would I do that? Why would I grind to make the NPC stronger? You see the logic there? Well, and everybody's gonna argue with me on that, and they're gonna be like, "But you're grinding for your modifiers." Yeah, but you're also making them stronger too. And it's not scaling. We're not talking about scaling. We're talking about in proportional lifts and damage. I mean, we don't become invulnerable, but they are. Where's our invulnerable modifier? We don't have one, but they do. You see, it's just not proportional. And so it's just, yeah. But the thing is that they're not, that's just my opinion, okay? But they're not learning from the industry. This has happened in other games. I mean, there are comments, people saying like, this is why I left Diablo 4, because of these stupid modifier things, The first Descendant launched some negative modifiers that weren't that bad, and the community spoke and they took them away. So like negative modifiers are just not good. We have directives. We already have those. And then we have global events. Some of those have negative modifiers too, but they're usually, many of them aren't as bad anymore, right? So like they've gone down this road. Why haven't they learned from those past lessons? You know what I mean? This isn't news. This isn't new for them. This is the last PTS. This isn't the current one. But yeah, and so that's the part that I'm confused. It's just like, are you guys really you're really going to do this? I mean, they've already revamped all of the global events based on our feedback, and they reverted a lot of the negative, but they didn't take them completely out. Yeah. And that's right, Sev. And to play old content, right? There's an interesting video I'm going to put out here the next couple of days, maybe over the weekend. But there was a conversation. So if you don't know who Tom Henderson, he's a big time like gamer insider. So he's got connections on the inside of these games. And so he's the one that like exposes Ubisoft. So he's an investigative reporter, basically. Anyways, somebody asked him what he thinks about the Division 3 and when they're going to launch it. And he says, guess what he says? 3 years out. Which I believe that. Yeah. So this should be the current one now, I think. Let me turn off my music here. Okay. Let me interact with this real quick. Or let me refresh it, I guess. We got to do a sound check. Yeah, so this is the current timer. So it's muted, or it's not muted. Okay, so there's a volume up. Okay, so you should be hearing some mysterious Division music. Can you confirm you hear that, please? Go full screen here. Right on. Thanks, guys. Hopefully it's not too loud. But their voices are always kind of quiet, so I have it maxed out. Yeah, so so the Division 3, 3 years out. Yeah, I think that's realistic. I mean, they're just hiring assets, right? There's no way this game was being developed in the background the whole time. There's just no way. I mean, what staff? Where? All assets were in Star Wars and Avatar. And then from there, X Defiant. I mean, there's no way. There's no way. I think we would have more leaks. We would have had more information sneaking out of there about Division 3. Something. James, what up, bro? Burzins. Good morning, Alexia. Eric, what's up, man? Brassy, I see you. Got to say hi to everybody. It's a very early morning. Very early morning. Abstract in the house. Yeah, so they're leaking everywhere, right? These guys, I mean, they're under investigation by their board, the shareholders. They're getting pressure to sell, to replace the CEO. Assassin's Creed got a delay by 3 months. How do you think that's going to impact the company? And there's lots of games that got a 3-month delay and it didn't do shit. So, you know, Skull and Bones got a 3-month delay. How did that do? So the latest news that people are chirping about out there on Twitter is the Star Wars sales. Do you guys see the sales on Star Wars? What up, Stall? Mr. Rob. The sales were, they only hit it, they just cleared 1 million in sales on Star Wars. Now, that might sound impressive, but it's absolutely not. That's a major title. Star Wars is a huge one, right? And 1 million sales, and we're weeks out. I mean, they should have hit that on day one, or a couple days at least. So that's not good. That's not good. And now we have Assassin's Creed that's predicted to fail also. And so they're scrambling there. What are they going to do? So it's all about Yasuke, I think that's how you say his name, which is the Black Samurai. And the disrespect to the Japanese culture, because they take their culture very seriously. and their history very seriously. And there was a lot of creative liberties to this character, and that's the uproar. And I think they were trying to brush it aside for a long while, and it picked up a lot of traction, you know, and so it just got worse and worse and worse. And so they canceled. It started like there was a series of things. They canceled their showcases at these major game events, reveals. Like there was one in Japan. They canceled. They were a no show. That was a big one because they had invested in it already, so they lost millions by not showing to that. King, what's good? Right on, Eric. You know, I'm excited for ongoing directive. I don't have any ongoing directive right now. I had to delete it because of stash. I need to go get some. But it's gonna be a good set. The one, so they're doing a big buff to the chest piece. It's gonna give you like 50% amplified damage. I mean, that's glass cannon numbers. So that bleed build we did back in the day with the blue screen, I think is going to be extremely fun. Hopefully that kind of lifts it for group play because it was mostly more fun in solo play. So maybe now that you don't have to run glass cannon, it makes it more appealing. And I don't know. Jaco, good morning or good evening, afternoon, something around there. So yeah, so all the drama aside, it looks like what's gonna happen, and they'll hopefully talk about this in more detail than what I have, but they're gonna do the whole what do we call this? Recycled content thing between now and seasons 2.0. So they're calling it something. I mean, Daria mentioned, oh, you can farm all of these old exotics, but I think that was taken out of context because I hear people talking about it like you can farm, you know, the memento in a like it's gonna give you the memento in a special way as a reward. I don't think so, but that would be cool. I think she meant to say that you're gonna get exotic caches and you can open those and hopefully get a memento. I think that's what she meant. But it would be cool if there was a rewards track that had these mementos. So you play these events and you get mementos, backpacks or ninja bike backpack, you get specific exotics. That would be cool. So we'll see. But it looks like they've done a lineup. What seems to be 4 or 5 global events that you'll be able to play that are probably going to run for a week. Now, you know what would be really neat if they gave them to us on a toggle switch so you could just pick which one you wanted. Like they were all available. And you'd be like, I'm going to play this one today. I'm going to play that one today. You know what I mean? Wouldn't that be cool? Or you could play different ones on the same day. Oh, man, that would be so badass. I think it's just going to be, I think it'll be a normal season experience is what it's going to be. I can't imagine they developed anything special for this curveball that they're sending us. The retro event, yeah. Or rotate them more often, right? More Rob, that would also work. I wouldn't, Mr. Rob. I wouldn't mind if they just rotated them in more often, so that there was always a global event. Like maybe we should have them at least twice a month, every other week or something like that. I mean, why not have them every week? They're an option. But there's a certain point where if you have them too much, they stop feeling special. I mean, I know for us veteran players, they're old, so they don't feel special anymore. But, you know, for the new players, we had them for a while where they were 2 weeks. And it did get old, I got to say. And I really enjoy these global events. But I found I stopped. It just became too much. It gets boring. All that power does get boring after a while. You know, like Reanimated. I mean, I love Reanimated, but you're so strong, and after a while, I mean, you just you get your build less like tuned to max armor, everything defense, and you're still running around one-shotting everything with the weakest pistol you can find in the game, and after a while, it gets a little old. So, but you know, that's me. You know, that's me. And so I would play it, and then after a while, I'd log out. But I've been playing this event for years, so maybe if you're newer to the game, 2 weeks isn't so bad. Yeah, I've always thought, like, you know, you have the global events. They're everywhere, always, just like they are now, and they're on a rotating calendar. But I've also thought, like, wouldn't it be neat if they repurposed the summit so that we went there more? And, like, so you could show up to the summit anytime, at any time in the year, and you can activate a global event in there. So you could have Golden Bullet in the summit anytime you want. That'd be a great way to get some mileage out of that place. The PTS goes live tomorrow. So today will be preload. And so they're going to talk about some of the changes that are coming. I'll be taking notes, and then I'll do a recap video afterwards. It's going to be insane. Okay, so we got a poll running. Let's see what you guys think. So the question is, will the bad news come first in the end, or will they not tell us at all? Because that's a real situation. So with the nerfs and the last PTS, they almost didn't tell us. It came out because somebody observed that the St. Elmo's that Yannick was using had a smaller mag, and so he answered that question, and that's how it came out. But they weren't going to tell us about the nerfs. It was going to be a giant surprise. And it still was a big surprise. We looked at the patch notes that came after the dev presentation, and we were like, oh my Lord, they nerfed everything. They did. They touched everything, all the favorites. I was so shocked. I was shocked. What up, Sarah? Good morning. What is it, 9 a.m. there? And so I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. I was just like, wow, that's bold. So bold at this stage of the game to nerf all of the community favorites just because they're favorites. They weren't trivializing the game. You know what I mean? They weren't. You can run the strongest striker build ever, and you're still getting smashed in the face by an NPC, a red guy, punching you, and you go down. I mean, that's not trivializing the game, you know? But, okay, so your answer, the answer options are, will they give us this bad news up front? Will they give it to us in the back? Or will we get a nothing burger? Eat it! And 49% of you said that they're going to give us this news up front. 23% said in the back. And 28% said we're going to get a big fat nothing burger on the news. So let's see. Let's see. I think they are going to tell us. Daria mentioned that. So I'm going to mute myself. Let's let the show begin.
Hello, and it seems like we're live. So
Hello.
hello, everyone. Nice to see you again. It's been only a week since our live stream, but time flies. A lot of things has happened since then. But before we start, I'm going to introduce myself and my co-hosting partner. You probably already know us, but if you don't, if you're new to this game, if this is the first time you're watching the Division 2 live stream, my name is Daria. I'm community developer for Division 2, and with me, my co-host Yannick, creative director for Division 2. How are you today?
I'm pretty good, pretty excited.
Yep, there are a lot of things for us to discuss today. To just give you an overview, we'll definitely talk about the changes following PTS Phase 1. Some of you may have seen the developer notes that we released a few days ago, and there are quite a few exciting updates in there we would love to recite again. Also, we'll talk about the changes that were made to modifiers, to objectives. Those are new features that you will have access to with the next season. And we'll also talk about the new upcoming event that is called Throwback event. This is a completely new thing, never been done before, and we'll explain it in more detail. I mean, there were a few hints mentioned last time because I just could not really shut myself up. This is a very exciting new thing. But before we start, there is one thing that we need to address concerning XP Boost event that we had recently, and unfortunately it did not work for everyone who wanted to participate, but Yannick wanted to share some good updates regarding future XP events, and I promised not to put him on the spot, and I'm already doing
Just
it.
before the stream went live, I said, don't put me on the spot, and that's what she's doing. No, I mean, it's like, we're very happy with the XP event and how it went. Obviously, it didn't work for everyone, and this is a new problem that we're going to have to look into, and obviously we want to fix that. It's the first time we do this kind of XP event, so we're a bit experimenting here. But still, overall, I think it sounds like for the people who could at least participate, this was a lot of fun. I played myself and I had a lot of fun. So, to the question I think we had last time asking if we would do more of those, yes, we will be doing more of those because, again, it was a lot of fun and everybody had fun and enjoyed it. So we will, you will see XP events come more regularly moving forward. But yes, we also need to fix that issue where for some people it did not work.
Yeah, and from what I know, it was already identified and the team was working, making sure that this will not happen with the events in the future. Fingers crossed, because that was a really nice event, and I saw a lot of people joking about us having extend XP boost. So maybe for Christmas, I don't know. If you guys behave, maybe we'll consider it. Oh, people asking in the chat if I got a new haircut. No, it's just it's actually my hair got way longer than it was supposed to, so I didn't really have a time for a haircut. But this is not about me. This is
Thank you, chat, for being nice.
This is not about my makeup or haircut, unfortunately. But yeah, let's move to balancing. There are a lot of new exciting updates coming with Phase 2. By the way, I realized I completely forgot to confirm that Phase 2 will start on Friday. Preload is supposed to be available tonight. Also, we'll be releasing the patch notes for Phase 2 right after the live stream, similar as last time, so you will be able to see all the changes in detail, not only the changes that were mentioned in the dev notes. Pretty much everything else is going to be there, so please be on the lookout for those once we're done. But yeah, back to you. Some of the most exciting updates regarding balancing. We saw a lot of complaints about nerfs for St. Elmo, for example, or Ouroboros, and those are just a few of the things that will be reverting with the second phase. For example, St. Elmo will have -10 rounds in the next BTS phase.
We are partially reverting. So for St. Elmo, for example, so and I think some people pointed this out, but you need to take into account that there's a buff to the M4, which actually impacts St. Elmo as well. So it gains power there. We've removed some of the power from St. Elmo on phase 1. And we're going to keep that. The one thing that we've decided to revert is the change in rounds. So we have removed the -10 it got in phase 1. So it's going to keep the same amount of rounds, 70 rounds in PTS phase 2. And same with Ouroboros. We are removing part of the nerf to kind of bring it up a bit again.
And also for Ouroboros, the rate of fire was adjusted following phase 1, and it just went from 1275 to 1250. I have everything, and also it's not.
You have the numbers.
Yeah,
I don't have them
the
in
numbers.
mind.
Yeah, because I would not be able to memorize all of that.
Yeah. And it's and we've got a lot of feedback on changes, right? And of course, every time we do nerfs, it tends to kind of focus a lot of the conversation on those, and we've tried to be to be cautious with those nerfs. I've seen some conversations in chat when before we went online on people asking why are we even nerfing what works and why don't we just bring everything up? And we've explained that already in the past, but I can do that again. It's important for us to try to keep some balance, and I don't think in any of the cases that we have in this update we've really drastically nerfed anything into the ground. I hope not. We've tried to be very cautious with those changes, but we can't just simply boost everything to that level, because then if you have one outlier that is more powerful than everything else, you boost everything, that becomes the baseline. Then next time something is more powerful, you boost everything again, and you're just introducing what we call power creep, which means that we're just making the players more and more powerful, and then the game content does not follow. So we need to try to keep a power level that is balanced. That being said, again, across the board on all those changes, including all the buffs we've done, I mean, overall, we have made a lot of things more powerful. So we have looked at the best performers and tried to bring the worst performers closer to that level. But then the few outliers that were above the crowd, those we try to bring down ever so slightly to try to narrow the gap between the items.
And also one of the examples is going to be Sledgehammer and Mosquito Song that are going to be reverted to how they are on live now for TU21 version, the current live version, and Mosquito will keep its updated talent, and also both Sledgehammer and Mosquito will retain the team-wide debuff.
Yeah, exactly. So for Sledgehammer, we proposed in phase 1 to remove the team-wide buff and make it for the player only that used it. This was obviously very unpopular, and we agree. Maybe that was pushing it a bit too far. So we've decided to bring it back to what it was. So it will be a team buff that you get for using Sledgehammer. We're going to change the value a bit, though. I think we're lowering the buff, therefore. So it's the team buff, but it's going to be a bit less powerful. Therefore, we're keeping the change to Mosquito. So you can have something similar with Mosquito. You can combine both and get even more buffs from that.
And another thing that we need to mention is the regarding balancing gear and brand sets with favorite strikers battle gear. Also, there were a few mentions that a lot of you were happy with the strikers changes, but it's important to mention that only the backpack was affected with the changes, and the main functionality of the 4-piece bonus is still there and just as powerful, but in phase 2 the value of backpack stacks will be brought a little bit higher. from
0.85 to 0.9.
to 0.9. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's we're bringing it up a bit. It's still lower compared to what you have on the game today. So it allows us to still try to make sure that we are limiting the cases where Striker becomes overpowered compared to anything else in the game. But it is less, a bit less than what we proposed on phase 1.
And we can also mention a few updates that are going to be coming to new weapons and gear that will be available starting with the U22. And for example, let's start with Strega. I honestly still not 100% sure if it should be pronounced Strega or Strega. If you guys know in the chat, please let us know. So the thing that we need to mention first and foremost that it was not functioning the way it was supposed to, the way it was intended in the phase 1, and it had infinite range. Also, I don't know how many stacks, but basically infinity.
Yeah, it was stacking more than it should have.
Yeah, so it has been fixed now, and during the phase 2, you would be able to finally experience it as how it was designed, how it's supposed to play. So we really ask you to pay close attention to how it works and deliver your feedback regarding it. And also there are additional change that's coming to Strega already, and I think you mentioned you remember what that was. Yeah,
the range was broken on the PTS, so you couldn't really get a good appreciation of that. But the item was broken anyway, so I know a lot of people were excited, but maybe it's because it wasn't working as intended. That being said, there's one change we've decided to make with Strega, which is lowering the range at which it applies. It applies the mark to other enemies. So the range was 20 meters, and we've lowered that to 10. And the idea being that really, especially at the beginning, when a group of enemies spawn, then this is where you're gonna get to apply as many stacks as you can, or as many marks as you can. And then as they spread out, then it becomes a bit less efficient. But we've decided not to change the damage buff from it, but instead reduce a bit the range.
Yep. And also for the new gear set that is also coming with the U22, Virtuoso 4 pieces bonus was updated, range was changed from 30 to 25 meters, and also timer was increased from 10 to 15 seconds.
I've seen in chat someone was asking about Scorpio as well. I don't know that we have it listed here, but yes, we're also changing the changes to Scorpio, where I don't have the numbers in mind, but we're kind of reverting halfway back. So I think it was it.
I also
I'm looking that way. I'm trying to look at Daria's screen because she's trying to dig up the change.
I'm trying to dig them up. I unfortunately cannot see them now, but
this is me putting Daria on the spot now. That's the payback.
Yeah, and I promised Yannick that I will have everything, but yeah, I do not see anything for Scorpio. Let's see what else we have.
But anyway, I think the first stack was at 1, and then on PTS1 we made it at 3, and now it's going to be 2. So yeah, we're changing the values here. We're tweaking them to try to be a bit less drastic than what we had on PTS1.
But not all the changes were about gear and weapons. There were also some changes concerning the new seasonal journey that we talked about last time. I also really hope that you guys had a chance to test it out in the previous phase. If you missed on that, no worries. The same content will be available starting on Friday, and throughout the weekend you will have a chance to look at the modifiers, objectives, counts, and all the new components to new revamped seasonal journey. So talking about the changes, I don't know what do you want to start with?
Well, I have priority objectives open here, so I can talk about that. So there's one change we made that was based on feedback, which is that yes, it can happen sometimes that you choose a priority objective, you realize you don't like it, or you realize you cannot make it for some reason. We've actually added the option now. You will see at the bottom. We've actually added the option to abandon an objective. This will be on a cooldown, so you can't do it as much as you want. I believe it's a 60 minutes cooldown right now. But we don't want to end up in a situation where you are stuck and you cannot do priority objectives anymore because you picked one that didn't work for you, and then you can't progress. So now you see down there, you can just abandon the objective, you confirm, and we give you new ones. And now, of course, if I take another one, then I won't see the abandon anymore.
And also, some objectives were removed that were holding up progression.
Yes.
So that is another update to priority objectives, and some of the time-limited objectives, so something that it's impossible to complete, is not a part of the rotation anymore. Yeah.
We're going to see over time, what we can add and what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. Maybe as the season goes, we'll realize that some of them are not a good option here. So we'll adapt. But yes, for now, at least the ones that have been pointed out to us that really don't make sense, we've removed them. One thing that is unique for this PTS, it's not gonna be like that on the game. And now, of course, I don't see it anymore. But on the first roll before I had it, you would have seen that I had a lot of modifiers under here. So for this PTS, just to give you a chance to experiment with the modifiers a bit more, we've actually increased the chances to get a modifier as reward from the priority objectives. So this is just, again, unique for the PTS. Don't imagine that it's going to be as generous when the game comes out, when the update comes out. But for now, at least for the PTS, you will be able to much more easily unlock the modifiers, so you can test them out and give us feedback.
Yes, I didn't really get a modifier last time, so I'm looking forward to it. Talking about modifiers, there were quite a few updates to them as well following phase 1. First and foremost, I think UI issue was the most commented on, and that one was a little bit misleading. It was fixed, so I would say that there was no real connection between functionality and the color, but now the icon should be changing depending on the range, right, and how far from the enemy you are in, like, not really how far, but
so this is for the stellite coating. I hope I'm saying this right. Where basically I don't see the enemy modifiers here. Oh, it's not. Okay. The hostile modifier. So stellite coating. We had the issue, and we told you that the implementation was not final anyway, but now we've made the change. So when you are actually going to see the icon on an NPC, and we'll go in gameplay after that, maybe I can show it. But when you're going to see the icon on an NPC, the color of the icon is going to change to tell you what range you actually need to reach to damage the NPC. So you will actually now know which one you're going to. Or which range you need to move to. We also made some tweaks to that modifier and how it applies to NPCs. Redefined a bit which NPCs it can apply to. So and redistributed the other modifiers instead. So since this was a modifier that was applied on the assault archetype, for example, which is the most common archetype, of course that was the one you would encounter the most. So now we've changed that to put other modifiers instead. So overall, it's going to be less common to encounter this modifier because we know that this is the one that we got the most feedback on. So it should be it should be a bit less in your face.
Yeah, and there are a few other smaller updates to other modifiers as well. Those will be listed under the patch notes. So please let us know what you think about all those changes after trying them out on PTS.
One thing that I don't know if we actually had planned to talk about, but you will notice that we actually have an inventory icon now and an inventory slot for the for the modifiers. So on the last PTS, we actually put it instead of the all gear tab or the all gear button, which we got a lot of feedback on because some people are very attached to that tab. And it makes sense. So we've actually looked at that and we found that space up there to put it. So we've lowered the size of the specialization, the signature weapon icon, and instead we've put the modifiers there. So now they have their own place. They sit, and in the process we've also actually brought up the shade watch here. So don't be surprised if you're looking for your shade watch. It's not at the bottom anymore. It's up here. So up there you basically have the three. The three build options that actually have their own customization menu in there. So the old gear button is back.
Is there anything else we want to show in the build?
Should I try to play a bit just to see if I can just show the icon of the modifier?
Yeah. I don't know why you're asking me for permission, of course. This is the purpose of this live stream.
You have the time in mind, so you tell me. I'm just gonna run around and see if I can face some NPCs, and hopefully we're gonna be able to. Don't send me friend invites, people. I'm not going to accept them.
So people in the chat saying that I also need to play a little bit. God knows I want to, but I will probably just release the photos of our current setup on Twitter later for you guys to see and maybe have a good laugh. No disrespect to Tori and George because they are the ones who set it up, and it's honestly it's awesome. It is great. I love it so much better than what we had previously in our podcast room, which is nice and cozy, but having the green screen and possibility to just stream the build and talk about all the changes is quite nice. So the thing is, we only have one PC at the moment and a few screens because the space is very cramped and tiny. So yeah, for now we'll have to work with what we can. But yeah, let's concentrate on what's happening on the screen right now. Oh, and my chair suddenly went down.
Okay, can you hear me still? Because I've lost audio in my headphones, so just it's back. Very good. Of course, you're gonna see I'm not gonna have any NPC with that modifier now, just to annoy me. That's fine, you're all gonna die then.
Oh, by the way, we'll be answering all the questions from the chat once we are done with showing all the new changes and talking about things that we plan to talk about. So, stand by.
Why did I tell you not to send me invites? You're all gonna send me invites now? Well, I'm going to decline every single one of you.
So there is a question about reading the range indicator and how it's supposed to work. Do you want to take this one?
The range indicator next to the crosshair?
Yes.
Sure, yeah, so the way it works is that it when you aim at an NPC, it tells you what range it is at. So this one was at blue, you see this one is in the yellow range. So this defines the damage bonus that I will get on that NPC, and also if I have minor modifiers that are connected to that range, this is where those minor modifiers will be active. I'm calling them minor modifiers, they're actually called passive modifiers. Sorry. It's a lot of new words we're gonna have to learn. See, I'm trying to show something and we are not going to see it because that's how mean the game is to me.
But with the spawn rate, not the spawn rate, but I don't know, application rate of this modifier also decreased, right? So
Maybe we've been too hard.
we just need everyone in the chat like to concentrate their brain waves on us getting the NPC that we need. To answer the question if it's possible to activate this, yes, you will be able to activate modifiers if you want to. If you want to, there is an opportunity to do that. So yeah, it's not mandatory. It's not like you're gonna be forced to play with the modifiers if you don't want to.
Yeah, no, you can play the whole season without it if you want. Well, I guess there wasn't one. But trust me, I'm a dev. It works.
I mean, you tested it prior to the stream, right? So
So eventually, you can keep talking. I'm just going to play the video game, and when you hear me scream, it's because we will see one of those icons.
and we can actually talk about the upcoming Throwback event while you're playing if you want to.
Sure, yeah.
I can start. So the Throwback event, the thing that I hinted at last time, and maybe it was a little bit premature, maybe I was not supposed to, but then again, who's gonna stop me? I'm already talking, right? So we just wanted to clarify a few things since it also raised a few questions from you guys. So first and foremost, this is the event that gonna be starting next week on October 8th. And the main idea behind the event is that you will get an opportunity to obtain some exotics that were previously available, so through previous level. Oh my god. We'll start again. So exotics from previous seasons. We know that right now they're also available through Countdown, but if you're a new player, that's a perfect opportunity for you to have a 100% chance of dropping those. So that's a really interesting event in that regard. Those are going to be the best exotics with 100% drop rate that you can get after eliminating the prime target of one of each previous seasons. And also you will be able to earn stars through global events and cache those stars for specific seasonal caches that would contain best exotics of the season. So it's really an amazing opportunity to just stock up on those old exotics.
Yeah.
But I will mention this because there were a lot of questions last time. Blueprints won't be available. That is an event only for weapons and gear itself.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, there will be a new, I think every 48 hours, I think we will have a new project that will be asking you to replay one of the Legacy Climax mission, and when you complete that project, you get that exotic guaranteed. And then yeah, we've also added the season caches to the global events vendor. So when you are going to play global events, you will be able to actually purchase season caches, and we've added here it is, and we've added the exotics to those caches. So for those of you that are missing specific exotics, this is going to be a great way to target those. For people like me who still do not to this day have the Scorpio, for example, I will finally, hopefully, get my hands on the Scorpio. We basically just designed this this event for me.
Same with the XP boosters, because I think Yannick was among those who enjoyed it the most.
Yes, the XP boost is also just for me to catch up. Me and my poor man's 500 shade level.
And yeah, to make sure that you're properly informed on how this entire event is going to work, of course, there's going to be an article detailing the mechanic. There's also going to be a calendar, so you know when to look for a specific prime target and also what sort of exotics coming back. But if you had a chance to play through all the previous seasons, you probably already know that. We'll still just repeat it for new players. And this entire event will last for 3 weeks, and I don't know if that's in connection with this event or people noticing the changes in the season wrapper after the update that we had this week. But some discussions arised among players about us extending the season. So it's not really an extension in a way. It was basically specifically designed for us to have an opportunity to engage with the Throwback event. And also probably going to mention it, like, whenever you see end dates for seasons in the calendar, do not assume that this is when the season will end or when the next is going to be released, because we update those wrappers almost all the time with different updates, so it's not a clear indicator of the end or the beginning of the next season.
Yeah, always take this with a grain of salt. We usually always put fake dates there because we don't want the season end date to reveal the start of the new season. So the Throwback event is really here to in a way do a last farewell to the old season model, as we're going to be moving into the new revamped seasons. We just wanted to take a moment to say goodbye to. I'm trying to remember. I have the count 11 seasons, I believe it's been. Not including the reruns.
Yes, but there are going to be only 10 projects because we do not have enough time for all of them. We only have one.
Oh, 11 because it's the one that's running right now.
With the current one, yes.
We don't need a project for this one, but the other 10, because I think we are technically season 15 now. We've stopped counting like that, but I think this is season 15. What we have now, what is here is actually 16, but anyway.
And even though
you can stop playing the game and actually pay attention to what you're saying. So.
No, I was just talking about the seasonal extension that caused some uproar within the community, which is not really an extension, but at the same time.
Well, we've never confirmed the date, so so it's you take it as you want. But again, the date that you see in game is you should always take that with a big grain of salt, because that date, if you actually pay attention, you will see it changes with our updates.
And there is a good question about the modifiers. What happens in the group? Is it going to be mixed? Some people playing with modifiers, other playing without them. But I guess that would all come down to the group leader. If the group leader plays with a modifier, then the rest of the group is going to be forced to play.
The same as global events, so the group leader decides.
So, do you want to start taking questions from the chat?
Yeah, if I'm looking that way, it's because I'm reading you. I'm not paying attention. Can we save modifiers in our loadouts? No, I don't believe they're saved with the loadout. I think once they're applied, they will apply to all your loadouts. You can always change them, of course, on the fly, but I don't think you can save the configuration with the loadouts.
Are modifiers account-wide or character-specific?
Account-wide. So when you unlock them, they're unlocked for the whole account. There was a question earlier that I wanted to reply. Yes, actually, I don't know that I'm supposed to say that, but I will anyway. And Daria will maybe yell at me afterwards. But I've seen people asking about. It's back in here. What's this thing with Wall of Silent? So we've said already, and I think Daria confirmed that. But
preparing to throw it at Yannick.
No, it's the same. You know, when you're going to go into a PTS build or going to go data mine some stuff, always take a big grain of salt. Sometimes we work on prototypes. Sometimes we have ideas that we start implementing in builds, and they just don't make it for multiple reasons. So just because someone found something in the build, take that with a big grain of salt because it does not confirm anything. It does not mean anything. So, yeah, that's what I will say about that. Do not take it for granted.
Changing the topic back to modifiers because there is a lot of question about them. Are modifiers necessary to progress the season?
No, you get more modifiers as you progress the season. In the season journey, you unlock modifiers. With the priority objectives, you also unlock modifiers. But you do not need to use the modifier to progress your season. As we've shown, you can turn them off, and then you can play the game as usual, and you're still going to get season progression from it. It's really an option for you if you want to.
But also modifiers are kind of going to become important for the new difficulty climax mission that will also going to be introduced in the next season. We talked about it last time. All the details can be also found in the previous patch notes or the VOD of the live stream. But yeah, I mean, it's still going to be possible to play through climax without those, but it's going to be a tougher challenge.
Yeah, when the master difficulty comes out for the climax, yes, it is designed with the modifiers in mind. So if you decide not to use them, you will have a harder time. I see people are asking, or someone asking, like, what's the point of modifiers then? Well, the point is choice. You can use them or you can not use them if you want. We're not going to make that mandatory. I'd rather that we try to make them fun, so you want to turn it on. And this is just our first batch. This is the first time we are doing it. So as usual, we create a new system. It's going to take a few seasons for us to iterate and to find the right formula. So I think this will be fun with those modifiers, and we will learn a lot from this season. And then next season will come with a fresh new set of modifiers, and we'll iterate on that. So if you don't like those, well, just turn them off and try again next season. Maybe the ones next season you will like even more.
Modifiers are going to replace global directives, and no, actually they will coexist, and there will be an opportunity to choose to play either with one or another. So they're not going anywhere.
But now you say we need them for climax mission. No, so just to be clear, the climax mission, without spoiling too much about the climax mission, you will be able to do the climax mission as usual. You don't need to have the modifier on to do the climax mission. The climax mission will also be made available in a new difficulty that is called Master. That difficulty, it's a whole new difficulty setting that we're creating specifically for climax missions. And that difficulty setting, if you use Master, we are going to design it with the modifier in mind. That doesn't mean you need the modifier. At no point you're not going to be able to do it mechanically because you don't have the modifier. But the combat, the way the encounters are designed and all of that will be here to encourage the gameplay with the modifier. So you may have a harder time to do it without the modifiers, but that doesn't mean that you cannot do it. Once again, it will be your choice. Will modifiers give you more XP if you enable them? No, there is no incentive to enabling the modifiers at this point anyway. So far, we'd rather just make that a pure choice of taste if you like them or not. Once again, the modifier, the main modifier it's a bonus. I think one thing that kind of influences this whole discussion, because I know that some people are not necessarily convinced with the proposition so far, and that's fine. Bear in mind, on PTS, you haven't been able to unlock all the modifiers. So you've been playing with just kind of the basic version of it, whereas the enemies have all their hostile modifiers already. So you are a bit at an imbalance against them, because on the PTS, you cannot unlock all the modifiers. So keep that in mind as well, that as you play the season, you will unlock all the modifiers. You will have more options and you will have more tools to actually counter the hostile modifiers. So try this out when the season is out, and then give us feedback on how you think this works.
There was also a question about modifiers availability for raids.
For raids, yeah, as far as I know, they will be enabled in the raid as well, in the raids.
I honestly don't remember that, but someone in the chat said we talked about it last time, so just watch the previous live stream. Probably, us from the past knew better than us from the future.
I see someone. Yannick, listen, please. We just want new content, please. Yeah, I mean, we're redoing the season system. That's a lot of work. If that's not for you, if what you want is you know, a new map, then just wait a bit, because we have a whole DLC in Brooklyn that's lined up for you later on.
There are a few questions about Throwback event. Will the stars disappear after the individual global events or after the whole global event period has ended? And honestly, I do not have the answer to this question now, but I will assume that you will need to spend the stars during that particular global event, because then the next set of exotics and targets will come with another event. So if you want this specific gear from a specific season, from a specific target, it's best if you spend the stars while it's still ongoing. And we will release the calendar with information, so you know when to look for specific targets and gear.
In the future, will we have new things for the hardcore character? I hope. I'd like to. That's something we've discussed, and we'll have to look at. Not for this update, but I think it would be cool to you know, to take a new stab at hardcore and make it a bit more fun, and connect it to the new seasons as well. I see all of you asking for more stash space and more inventory space. We know. You can keep asking. We know. We've known for a while, and I know that you know, some time ago I tried to explain that we were kind of at the maximum capacity, and yeah, we are exploring options, and we have options. So we'll see where that brings us. But we know it's an issue. We know we're implementing new gear every season, and some people want to collect everything. So we know it's a big request, and yeah, we'll see where those options bring us.
So another question about Throwback event. How about named items and blueprints in Throwback event? So unfortunately, there will be no named items, also no blueprints. That is another thing that we can discuss to see if it's maybe will be. I'm just looking at Yannick because it's a very popular question, and now the chat is off.
I've lost everything.
Dory, George,
it's probably
please
because
help us.
I need to probably
Okay.
wake up the computer.
It's back
I'm
again.
too focused on the conversation.
So
It happened last time already.
So yeah, no blueprints and named items this time around, but I don't know, maybe we'll think of something for the future.
Yeah, we should have them eventually. We need more storage of Fury gear. I don't think we want to do Fury gear. So that leaves us one option. Let us use textiles on more items, please. We need to see what we're going to do with textiles. It's a bit of a legacy thing from old times. I'm sure we can do more interesting things with it. The last hunter mask on the board, can we have a clue, please? That thing right now is not connected to anything, so don't go out there and try to find a hidden hunter mask. There is no hidden hunter mask that haven't been discovered yet. That hook was added for other reasons. It sounds like a crazy tease. It's not. It's stupid game dev stuff.
Yes, people will overanalyze this.
Yeah, they will be like,
single
"Oh, is
phrase
Yannick
and-
teasing an incoming new hunter?"
Yeah, people are already chanting in the hunters. There were a few questions. I cannot see them right now, but I remember seeing a few about new conflict maps.
That'd be cool.
Thank you for very informative answer.
We don't have new conflict maps planned yet, but yeah, it'd be nice to add new ones. So if we find an opportunity to do that, we jump on it.
Open all cache button, please. I think this is the question about global events again. and from what I know, it's something we've been discussing, but it has not been done yet.
Yeah, I think it's outside of global events. I think when you have a bunch of caches, you want to be able to open all of them. I know we've discussed it already. There's a bunch of edge cases we need to be careful with. Like, what if you run out of space while you're opening the caches? Do we open them one by one? Do we open everything? Do we drop it on the floor? Do we, that there's a lot of risky situations that make this a bit much harder than it sounds. So that's why we haven't tackled it yet. But it is on our list of quality of life improvements we'd like to do at some point.
Once again, there are a lot of questions about new raids and incursions, and yeah, I joked last time that I need to print myself a t-shirt that like has all this frequent question answered already. I mean, there are once again no plans, but maybe in the future, in the very distant future. I mean, nothing is off the table, right? So things can happen, but we do not have plans for immediate future. So the only thing that I would say you have 100% be sure that you can be looking forward to is the DLC.
Will the current global events and system for replaying old manhunts change in the future with the integration of these new features? No, so in the with the revamp of the seasons, we will still have global events. We will be able to run global events. So that's going to exist. The thing that you need to know is that the modifier and the global event cannot coexist. So if you want to play the global event, you will have to turn off the modifier for the duration of the global event. But otherwise you can play it, no problem. And then the second part, the previous manhunt. No, these will remain available as well. So you will be able to play the Legacy Climax missions.
There was a question about call for backup and when it's going to be available again. So it's a very high priority issue. I do not have a fixed version in mind right now, but that is something that the team has been working on, and hopefully we'll get an update regarding the fixed version soon.
Please look at buffing through Patriot.
That's a good one. Is Skinner Yannick's alter ego?
Nah.
Yannick is too nice.
I would never be rogue. I don't think that's for me. Invaded Kenley. What would that look like? Invaded Kenley. I don't know. Will Yannick add us? Nope. How many of you I just got 17 invites. That's okay. But I'm going to decline all of them. This is actually my private account where I play games with my real life friends, the few of them I have left.
That was just very sad. But there was a funny question, not really a question, but a statement that if Fei Lao is alive, we just need to blink to confirm it. Maybe it's just a hologram. I don't know. Maybe it's not even live. Maybe it's pre-recorded. Who knows?
Let's just bring back more characters from the dead. It's gonna make everybody happy. Fifth character slot, can we still get that? Yeah, even for premium credits. But that's the thing, we had planned to add a fifth character slot to go with the seasonal characters. We've removed seasonal characters, but the space we had allocated for that fifth character, we are looking at how we can reuse that. So when I talked about options for extra storage or whatever, this is kind of what's feeding into that, is that we had made ourselves comfortable with the idea of increasing the save size by adding a fifth character. So maybe that's something we can reuse. But again, it's as usual in game dev, it sounds similar, but we are not always comparing apples to apples.
There was a request for more Halloween horror theme everything. I also don't know if it's okay to hint at that or not, but I'm still gonna do it. Even though Yannick is looking at me.
Asking the wrong person.
Yeah. Just a small hint. There is. We won't have a Halloween event per se this time around, but new cosmetic items are coming that are gonna be Halloween themed, and there would be at least 2 opportunities for you to get new Halloween spooky gear. It's not really gear; it's cosmetics anyway. But yeah, more stuff is coming. Omega
Dragon, is there a way to get the previous collectibles comes from previous seasons if I was not playing when they came out? Yes, if you replay the climax mission of that season, you can unlock those collectibles, so that's your way of grinding them. So with the Throwback event, you're going to get extra rewards for replaying this climax if you play during the project anyway. But in any time, honestly, even outside of that event, whenever you replay the climax, if you don't have all the collectibles, you are able to drop them from that climax.
Will XP boost event be back? Yes, that's what we started the stream with today, and Yannick here confirmed that we are looking to have more of those events in the future, both X3 and X5. So for now, the priority is to make sure that the issue that prevented some of the players to really enjoy the XP Boost event this weekend is identified, fixed, and after that we hope to have those events on more or less regular basis throughout this season.
Yeah. Gosh, there was a question I wanted to take, but then chat was too fast and I lost it. I remember someone was asking about leagues or saying bring leagues back. Yes, so leagues are going to disappear with the new season model because they're just simply not compatible really with what we're doing. That being said, we want to revisit the ID. So maybe leagues will return at some point, or at least the idea of time challenges is something that's still interesting. So we'll need to think a bit about it. But while leagues will no longer exist when the next season starts, the essence of it might come back eventually. There's a lot of questions on the Brooklyn DLC. You know we're not going to answer those, right? You can keep asking, but cannot answer.
But there is one thing that we can actually confirm, that it's in fact going to be in New York, in Brooklyn.
I mean, Brooklyn is not just a code name for something that's actually another city.
But there was a question, because apparently there is another Brooklyn in a different state.
Is there?
Yes.
Oh, that would be really sneaky of us.
That would be the plot twist of the century.
Brooklyn, Connecticut. No, it's not the same. Okay. Why are new incursions or raids not a priority for you guys? That's actually that's a good question, because it's and I don't have a good answer for you, but it's just we need to, like, just because we don't do something doesn't mean that we don't like it or we don't think it should be added to the game. There's a million things we would like to do with the game. Pretty much I think every single comment I see in chat of people saying, add this, do that, I'm like, yep, that sounds cool. And that's why there's a lot of things. So we need to prioritize with the time we have, with the budgets we have, with what we think is best for the game, what is the most urgent to do right now, what's going to help us the most in the long run. Sometimes we prioritize things for a specific type of players, other times we prioritize other things. So it is really, and that's your question, why we don't think it's a priority. Well, it's just because right now we have other priorities. But once again, that doesn't mean we don't want to do it. If it were up to me, I would have 5,000 people working on this game and I would do all the things, but that would probably not be sustainable, unfortunately. So we need to unfortunately take it one thing at a time.
There was a question about all cosmetics from previous seasons, and I assume apparel event reruns. Do you know anything about?
No, I don't. Sorry.
But we know the people who probably know or can do something about it, so we'll talk to them and see.
How many people working on the game? Enough. Enough to keep going.
It's five raccoons in a trench coat.
It's you know, that's part of the not interesting side of things, but it's you know, we need to be realistic and reasonable with the size of the project and with how much revenues we can generate with this game, and then have the team that can keep going. So it's all a balancing exercise with all of those things. So we have the right amount of people now to do cool things and keep going, but not 5,000.
Okay, let's answer 2 last questions.
Any new specializations planned? No. Do I pick the second one as well?
Yeah, you absolutely can.
Well, I can try to just quickly go through some of them. Any changes coming for Descent? No, nothing planned right now. Any plans for new raid or incursion? I believe we've answered that. Checkpoints for Descent? No. It would be great, but it's I think we've talked about that at some point. But it's we've made the decision when we made it not to do that, which had implications in the way the mode was built. And in hindsight, I understand why people would want it, but it's not something we can retroactively add to the mode. It would be a tremendous amount of work to implement it now. So that's not something we can prioritize at this point. Option to change specialization on the fly, yeah, that would be cool.
And I mean, from what I see, the majority of questions start repeating themselves. So I will just, unless there is anything else you want to bring up.
Who will be the composer for the music of the DLC? Ola, always Ola. Except Countdown. Countdown was not Ola. He was busy, but everything else always.
On this positive note, I'm just trying to wrap things up because it was actually Yannick who needed to attend to other things. But I will just repeat a few things once again. So, PTS preload starts tonight. PTS itself will be available tomorrow throughout the weekend, usual time, usual day. I mean, this schedule is going to be released together with the patch notes right after the live stream, so you will be able to see all the changes, not only those that we talked about today, but everything else as well. And yeah, once we are ready to announce the season release date, we'll do it on our social media. There is no need to send us questions on Twitter. We will not be answering those, so make sure to look for answers on official channels. And with that being said, thank you so much for everyone who came to watch us today. Thank you so much, Yannick, for being an awesome co-host and helping me to answer all the questions.
Thank you for letting me talk out of my cave.
Nobody's gonna stop us anyway, right? Because it's just the two of us, George and Dory, what they can do.
And George was asking if you could let go of the green screens. I think we should keep going for another hour.
Actually,
just to teach him a lesson.
This time around we have 2 green screens because we're not sitting shoulder to shoulder anymore. We have a little bit more of space. So
that's true.
George had a very important task today. Good job.
Good George.
Good George. With that being said, thank you so much once again. Super happy to see such an engaged chat, and see you next time. Bye.
See you, everyone.
There we have it. There we have it. There it is. Yeah. So not a lot of surprises, I think. I guess good and bad. But one of the things that kind of irked me was that they sort of went around the extension thing. And that bothered me just because, okay, fine, we have the extension. Good. It's not great news. Fine. But they didn't give us more details on that, like saying, hey, we've extended this. They didn't even say we don't have a date for launch. They just said it's not really an extension, and they just said like this. It was just like it was a couple of spins that they did. They just did a couple of spins, and then they moved on and started talking about other things. And be like, hey, but wait, you know, give us the direct news. Bad news or good news? I think we just want to direct as a community at this stage, don't we? You know what I'm saying? And so it's just like, and that's what frustrated me is it's like, oh man, I don't have any intel here on this detail. You know what I mean? So that's what I want at this stage is some intel. Give me something to go by. Even if they said like, we hope we will have this done by the end of October, but we don't know for sure. Stay tuned. As we get closer to that date, we will give you more information. That is information, right? But the little spin with, and what I mean by spin is they said, this isn't really this is what they said. Oh, there were some questions about the delay. It's not really a delay per se, because this is an opportunity. This is me paraphrasing, right? This is what they said. Like, this is an opportunity for us to like implement this new throwback event and to enjoy that and have fun. So it's not really a delay. You know, the cancellation of seasonal characters, of course, was going to require more time. And it's sort of like, okay, and then they moved on and started talking about other things. It's just like, what are we talking about? Did you guys know about the delay? No, a lot of people didn't know about the delay. So that's my point. A lot of people didn't know about this delay. It was a side conversation, as far as I know, that's been happening on Twitter in the comment section, you know, of some posts and stuff like that. So you kind of have to dig for that intel. Maybe some people have put videos out on it already, maybe, but it's not like we don't have any real hard dates yet. So I'm going to rewatch that footage. I'm going to recap it and try to put together some sort of timeline for us. But just like they said, like, you can't go by your season's menu. Take that for a grain of salt. Now, we have gone by the season's menu in the past and have been able to estimate, and with a relative degree of accuracy. You know, so like, okay, if this event ends, well, it already ended, but if this event ends on Tuesday, then that means the following Tuesday we will have the new event kick off, the new season kick off. So we'll only have 7 days downtime. That's usually how it goes. You know, there's not much downtime. There's just a gap week. And now we have real downtime between seasons. And it sucks. Because the reason why it sucks, I got to say, is we already have these really long seasons. And so remember earlier, and I've been saying this all season, but I've been saying that this is the worst season ever in the Division 2. And I've been playing since the beginning. And yeah, I'm saying that this is worse than the COVID days where we were getting recycled content. This is a worse season than that, in my opinion. I'm not being dramatic. Like, this is like back then when we were getting recycled content. So what I mean by that is they were giving us the same manhunts to fight, and they were giving us they weren't giving us the same rewards track. So we were getting new gear and new skills. Well, I don't know about the skills. I can't remember about that part. So I'll retract that. But they were giving us new gear. We were getting new gear. We got the memento came during the recycled content seasons. You know, so it's just like, so that kept us going. Like, if you were into builds, that's how I survived. I was like, wow, well, at least we got this new gear. I'm playing with builds. We're having fun. Ridgeway's Pride, like all sorts of gear was dropping, and just, you know, the missions were the same and the manhunts were the same, but like, you know, at least we were getting gear, so we were still getting new content to a degree. There was that. But this season, we've had two seasons back to back with shitty gear, which is like not getting any gear. And it's been a year almost to the day since they've actually dropped new content, which was the Incursion. So the Paradise Lost has hit its anniversary. So 2 seasons, no gear, and a year since we've gotten a new mission. That's crazy. That's crazy. On top of that, we have 4-month seasons, which is a horrible stretch of anything, right? That's a stretch of content. On top of that, the Manhunt, which was just a bunch of audio files. So that's even right. So we didn't even get a real Manhunt this season. Worst season ever. So let me just recap that. So we have 2 seasons, no good gear, which is basically like not receiving any gear. We got shitty exotics with that, which is like receiving no exotics. The worst Manhunt on record. You could do it once. So the previous season we had data files, but it was much more interesting with the story and the visuals coming along with that. And you could do it once and it could work. And they did make it work. It was actually an interesting experience when we were looking for Alani. So, but to do it again, to play the same missions in Washington, D.C., and the Manhunt was just a blip of audio after completing the same control points and the same bounties. You just got a blip of audio. That was our Manhunt this season. And then we did get the end mission, which was interesting. I thought it was interesting. So the final mission was great. Good enough. But not much of a Manhunt. And so we have this 4-month season where everything is just really drug out. And it's the worst season of all seasons with all of that in mind. And then they extend it, right? Or it's not even an extension of a season. It's a dead zone. It's a dead zone. We're going to be in between seasons. It's a dead zone. The season calendar is ended. There's no more season calendar. I mean, look at it. There's no more season calendar. I don't know if this event will be in the season calendar, if they're going to modify this and throw the new event. So we have a new event that they talked about. It's called the Throwback event. It's going to start on October 8th. So that looks like next Tuesday, maybe. And then it's really interesting looking. Like, I'm excited for it. That's great. You know, I mean, there's nothing in there I need, but for those who haven't obtained some of these bespoke exotics, this is probably going to be the event for you. It doesn't look like you're going to infinitely be able to farm those exotics, but there's going to be 100% drop rate, and it's going to be tied to an event, a project that's going to be released every 48 hours. And by completing that project, it looks like there's going to be 100% drop rate by eliminating that target. It's going to be probably tied to a bounty, something like that. So, and then there's going to be stars and caches, and you can buy like old season caches or something like that. So it looks interesting. I think it's a great event, but, you know, it's a spin. Fine. I mean, it's good. They need to compensate us, the community. It's not a compensation. They need to give us something to do, right? They need to give the player base a reason to play the game. You know, Angrish, appreciate you re-upping. Right on, brother. So, you know, it's not a bonus as much as it's like, hey, stay with us. We'll be back. We'll see, you know, for this commercial break. We'll see you in November. So there's no Halloween event. Fine, but they're going to be giving us some cosmetics you can purchase. Not much else came out of that. You know, not much else came out of that. Of course, we're going to have the PTS. I think you can just expect more of what you already saw in the last PTS. So this isn't going to be, there's not going to be anything really new in there, right? It's just these new adjustments. These are minor adjustments relatively. And you're going to see people playing the same missions, the same priority objectives, using the same modifiers that you saw last time. But one of those modifiers got a tweak. And so maybe they'll get a little bit more feedback on that. Fine. But, you know, me personally, I think I've seen what I've already seen what I've needed to see. And now it's time to get my hands on it and get my real opinions out there. So what am I going to do? You know, well, we're going to have to wait a month or whatever. And all sorts of other games are going to be dropping during that period and updating during that period. So, you know, they need to hustle up, hopefully, for us. But I will be continuing to go through the list of implementations and pulling out those that you should keep your eye on and hopefully farm for. But I'm watching for these patch notes right now because that's what we're going to try to go over together next. And I'm refreshing my screen. Let me know if you guys see those patch notes on your end anywhere. But I'm still seeing phase 1. So that's kind of what I'm queuing for at this moment. So hang with me if you want to see them together. But if they take too long, then they said they'll come out right after the stream. So last time they did it, they were up in about 15 minutes. What else did I want to say about that? Priority objective. There was something about that. Oh, yeah. This was the biggest takeaway from the priority objective. And they're probably going to be one of my big focal points. One of the things I've been talking about is like we started the stream this way. So we started this stream, I was talking about these priority objectives and modifiers. Sorry, not priority objectives. Starting this stream, we were talking about modifiers. And it's been a conversation for me because modifiers aren't new. This isn't a new concept. It's not innovative at all. But it is tailored to our content. So that's good, right? They did it. I think they did a good job of finding a way to get this modifier system to fit the Division 2 model. Which is a kind of like a reskinning of things, right? So like special operations is just our projects with a new skin on it. It's the same thing. Now, part of the system has been implemented in other games, and a lot of people don't like these systems, or they're kind of waysided by the community. But one of the things that's been consistent that I've seen is that it's not well regarded when you get negative modifiers with your season event. I mean, that's the point, is to be working towards it's, you know, should be rewards. And what's been interesting about the modifiers is like, okay, so I go and I grind to unlock modifiers, but when I do that, I also unlock enemies modifiers, and theirs are better than mine. You know what I mean? Like, what the? How is that a good thing? So I'm grinding to make the bullet sponge enemies bullet spongier in some cases. You know, it's not about hard or get good. It's the idea of that. Just think about it for a minute. The concept of grinding for the NPCs so that they get power too. It just doesn't make sense. And the First Descendant tried to do that too. So they put out modifiers that gave you a positive buff and a little bit of a negative buff. A little bit of a nerf. And it was sort of like, well, why would you give me a modifier that has a nerf? Like, why am I going to grind for that buff that's really not that significant? I'm cool without it. And then it's going to also give me a little bit of a nerf to something that maybe I don't want nerfed. And that's the same thing with these modifiers. So cool. We're going to get some god-awful power, right? Some amazing power from said modifier. But at the same time, there's going to be an enemy that's absolutely immune to my damage when shooting him at close range. And he's in my face all the time. That's what they do, is get in your face. You know, so I'm going to have to sit here and manage my distance so that I can have my maximum power. So I got to change my gameplay. It's just, you know, it's turning your damage even more situational than what it already is. More situational damage, you know. Fine, but don't give me the neg to go with it, you know. It should just be a buff. These should be gifts. We're grinding and locking this. Okay, so that's my rant on it. Or you get me? I'm grinding to kick my own ass. Exactly, Reaper. I'm grinding to kick my own ass. Good one. But he said something that piqued my interest. Okay, he says, and I wrote it down because I think this is an important detail, a very important one. Let me find my notes here. Okay, so this was part of the conversation when he was talking about climax missions. Somebody asked, do climax missions require modifiers? And his answer was no. So you can play the climax without modifiers. And I was like, thank God. The first time, I don't know though, because I'm not sure if that was a clear answer, because he said in the last stream that the climax mission was to test your abilities and your modifiers. And so I thought that was interesting, but you don't have to, I guess. Okay. But he said then that we are unbalanced in the PTS, that the NPCs are more tuned than we are in the PTS because we don't have access to all the modifiers to play with, to power up. And so he said that, you know, wait until it's launched, you know, give it a try and then give us your feedback, which is fine, but why are we doing this PTS? Right? I mean, it's a glimpse. I get it. It's a glimpse, but it's not a very positive glimpse. But that's good news. Because that was my worry. It's like, oh man, this looks like it sucks. I mean, I'm going to for sure try these modifiers, but I don't know how long they're going to stick with me. It's just like, I mean, I run directives all the time, but I don't really like them, you know? I do them just to show you how to get XP, and like this build is awesome for XP, but I don't really like objectives. Who likes nerfing their build? That's what you're doing, right? I mean, think about it conceptually. Just like you're out there farming the hell and you playing countdown, dozens of runs, and you know, you turn on, you tune up your build, you grind all these resources, you get all these exotics, you crush them, you put them into your expertise system, you level up your weapons to as powerful as they can be, and you make this really strong build, and then you nerf it by running directives. And be like, well, yeah, you know, because, you know, I don't want the content to be too easy. Well, then just don't farm up your build. You know what I mean? Then don't go through all the trouble of the expertise system. If it comes down to like you made a build so strong that you have to nerf it by running directives, then just why did you grind for the expertise system? It's a what, you know? And so I run directives for XP, but I don't need XP. It's for you guys, right? So like, but I don't, it doesn't make any sense to nerf my build, you know? And if my build is so powerful that I have to run directives that aren't that fun, then I move on to a different build, personally. And so my XP farm build, I know it's funny, but my XP farm build is so strong, I don't use it. You know, I only use it to farm XP, and then I turn on all 5 directives, go reap some XP, and then I tuck it away in my closet until next time I need to farm XP, because it is so strong. It does trivialize the content, and no modifier or directive can change that. You know, so it's the other half of it. It's not the build. The reality is that most of it's not the build at all. It's your skill, right? I'm a veteran player. I've been playing this game from day one, basically. So, you know, everything's memorized. I got all the missions memorized. It's not skill, it's practice. It's reps, right? We've talked about that. Like, you know, repetition can make somebody look like an in-game god, but it's just reps. I know where they're gonna spawn. I know who I should back away from, who I can rush. I know that when you step in their face, they're gonna freeze like a deer in headlights. That gives me an advantage. I know I can trigger a melee out of them and get them to miss. That causes an animation that buys me time to one-shot kill them in the face without a shield. You know, and that's an advantage. These are things that you just learn, you memorize the content. That's not a build. The build gives you confidence to stand there, you know, to get out there and do it. But you're the one doing it. And so directives, You know, so what I'm saying is your build is only half the power, the rest is you. So directives just, I don't think are really that fun, but that's my opinion. You might think they're fun, but I just don't like the idea of working really hard to create these builds just to get all that power, just to take that power away with your modifiers. You know, it's just like, what? And so it is, and it can be a very casual gamer friendly system, because now you can get that power potentially without grinding as hard. You grind the season, you get the power, they reset for next season, and then you grind all over again. Where now our grind game is longer, right? The way it is now. So you got to grind, you got to go get the gear, you got to get resources, you got to optimize that gear, then you get your expertise and you level it up. You know, that's a much bigger grind. But what if you didn't have to do that anymore? What if all of the power was there for you at the start of a season? You know? And so what does that do to the rest of your builds? What if you learn that you don't, it's a good, valid question. I don't know the answers, but I can speculate. But what if you find after a couple of seasons of this new system, Seasons 2.0, that you find like, you know what? I don't even need Headhunter on my sniper build anymore. I don't need God tier max optimized or expertise system anything. I don't need any of that. I just need to hurry up and grind through the season to get all my modifiers, and I have all the power I need to feel like a god in the season. Does it sound great to you? Yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. But what does that do for builds? You know what I mean? What does that do for builds, right? It kind of diminishes the concept of builds to a degree. Can they both exist? Yeah, they can. But this stuff trains you. It trains you. You know, you get trained into the system and you start adapting to it. So here's an example. It's not about power, but an example of how we are trained. Okay, so we used to farm the open world for gear. That's how we used to do it. Countdown was released. And by playing Countdown, through training, we learned through the reps that Countdown delivers way more gear and drops faster than any other system in the game. So why would we need to farm in the open world? Why would you want to hustle out there and do the same mission over and over again in the open world to maybe get one drop? I mean, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, we're like, oh, well, you know, in the open world's not bad. I'm not saying it is, but like, let's show how do we do this. There. So if I want to farm Fenris, okay, and I go here, I got some missions and some activities. They're all going to drop some decent amount of Fenris, right? And you turn on directives, you're going to get some enhanced drops by about 10%. And so that's great, but you're also going to get other stuff. You're going to get weapons. You're going to get gear that's not Fenris. Not all of it's going to be targeted. It's a percentage basis there. But more importantly, you're going to get Fenris backpacks. You're going to get Fenris knee pads. What if you're looking for a Fenris mask? Right? This becomes a very difficult grind. You're going to spend all week here, but you don't have a week because this gear rotates in a day. So, you know what I'm saying? So it's going to be a very tough grind. You're probably not going to get what you're looking for, as a matter of fact. And so tomorrow, you're going to have to go find Fenris somewhere else on the map. Because, you were getting backpacks and knees, but you needed the mask. And so now, you could just skip that bullshit and go to Countdown every day. It's always there. Fenris is always in Countdown every day. It's reliable. Not only that, you're still going to get Fenris backpacks. You're still going to get Fenris knees, but you're going to get such large quantity of Fenris drops in a 15-minute run in the same mission that's really, let's just admit it, easy, because there's 7 other players there who's got your back. And so you're going to get shitload of loot, and you're going to get exotics. And so we just learned that, this is, why farm anything else? Why? I mean, this is the only gear farm you need. And so we are now conditioned after many seasons of that being the case. That's where we farm. And so a new system, when they introduce it, although it might seem trivial, oh, it's just modifiers, Tux, it's not a big deal. But over several seasons, you might learn, like, I've already learned this, but I don't have a situation to change my conditions. But I already know that the damage on my gear doesn't really mean that much. So, and what I'm talking about specifically are these attribute stats. Like, if my weapon damage was 14%, does that change my performance? It's 15% right now. If it was 14%, would it change my performance? No, it doesn't. It doesn't matter the build. Assault rifles, shotguns, snipers, whatever. It doesn't really change the performance. Now, on some one-shot builds, there's a line you got to cross, right? To get what you're looking for, which is a one-shot kill. But otherwise, for the most part, it doesn't change my performance. If my headshot damage was 7.8% instead of 10%, would my performance change? No. And I know that. And a lot of you do too. It changes on paper, but the paper warriors don't ever tell you the context of that, right? The outcome of that. The paper warriors are saying, oh, this one's better, or, whatever. But it's sort of like, yeah, but who gives a fuck? I'm still killing him in one shot. Like, who cares? Why would you grind your heart out for 1.2% more damage? Because we do, because we're conditioned. That's the game. That's the grind. I do it, right? I want it to be perfect. You get me? But when the new system comes, it's gonna kind of amplify that situation. Like, why do I need expertise? I'm already at that point. I mean, the only reason why I'm doing expertise is because I don't have shit to spend my exotic components on, and I don't need any exotics. So it's just like, I guess I'll just dump that shit into this weapon that they may or may not nerf in the future, But the expertise system is, okay, it's all right. Not worth the grind. I'll tell you that much. Absolutely not worth the grind. It is not worth the grind. But you're going to be accidentally grinding it anyways. So yeah, use it. It's there. But I'm not going to vote for it. I'm not going to recommend you grind your little hearts out for it. All right. Did we get patch notes? Not yet. So that's my worry about the gear system. So I think it's not a big deal, but I'm just curious on how many seasons it's gonna take for us to realize that our builds have become less important, because the modifiers are meant to be there all season. So if they're meant to always be on, and if we do keep them on because we enjoy them, or we don't get the content access without them on, then what does that do for our base build? Is it possible that we don't care about it as much? I don't know. These are just questions. I don't really know. But I'm curious, after how many seasons do we care less and less about our builds? Just because we have these modifiers, and they're, as long as you have a base build of the concept of an idea of a build, then the modifiers will pick up the rest. Now, the reality is that as a gamer, you're always going to seek max power. I'm not going to pretend that's not a habit of a gamer or the point of gaming. So you're going to seek, you're going to go God rolled your gear anyways. You know what I mean? You are. But if you enter in or look from a perspective of a new player, as a new player that comes in, I think they'll probably be able to slap together a build, log in, beat the content, and then log out and come back the next day and just not worry about progressing the level or performance of their builds. I think the modifiers will do that for them. And I think that's kind of the point, right? That's where the devs want to go. They want it to be more casual. Jesus. How long is it going to take them? I've been rambling here for an hour. Where are my patch notes? Let me see if maybe they posted them somewhere else. Yeah, but I am looking forward to getting my hands on this. I am kind of disappointed that, well, not kind of, I am disappointed that they delayed it because, you know, I want to check out this Warlock. Yeah, I don't see anything. Well, okay. Well, you know what I can do? I'll just cut off the stream and then, yeah, I'll end the stream because I don't know when these patch notes are going to come out. So I'll just go ahead and prepare my, what do you call it? My summary of events today. And then I'll hopefully be able to integrate those patch notes into that summary. If not, then I'll do a separate video for the patch notes and cover those too. Thanks for hanging with me this morning. Look forward to some solid PTS experience. Otherwise, a very exciting next week as we get to experience this brand new throwback event to fill the void. All right, everybody, I'll catch you on the next one. Later.